That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Alright guys, y'all know I am always the first person to admit when I was wrong. And recently, I've been going through and doing more and more Dynasty research on this rookie class for our Dynasty rookie rankings, which should come out on Patreon either today or tomorrow. I just want to make sure we have those finalized, and that's probably a poor choice of words. They're going to be updated continuously through the offseason. Obviously, there are going to be major changes after the NFL draft, but I'm still going to feel the need to probably once a week go in there and go, okay, yeah, maybe we need Elijah Moore just one spot higher. Maybe we need to lower down Javonte Williams one spot lower. So, of course, we are going to continue to update those for everyone on Patreon every single day. But as I've been doing research for these, I went, you know what? How I was mock drafting these rookies at the very beginning of the offseason was completely wrong. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what I was getting into. And why I'm saying that is because once we got out of the first and second round where we felt extremely comfortable, in that third round range, I was using the tiebreaker between a few prospects and going, you know what? What we have historically seen between the running back and the wide receiver position is historically the running back position is one that is going to have a much better shot at exponentially increasing in value after their rookie year. So that's the position we should be investing in once we need to get into those tiebreaker ranges. Wow. Yes, that is true in some cases. While yes, that is definitely true at the top of every rookie class, I'm still going to be drafting Najee Harris and Travis Etienne ahead of Jamar Chase and Devontae Smith, while it was true last year, and it was why we were drafting players like DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire before any other rookie wide receiver. This year, I think once you get past those top two running backs, just because of the way the class is with some of just these horrible running back prospects, I think what we need to do is we need to take the exact opposite approach. So while I was drafting running backs in the late second or the early third of rookie drafts so far this year, I think I was making a massive, massive mistake. We are going to be going through and we are going to be talking about players that you'd be drafting in this range closer to the end of the video, but let me go through and just emphasize the fact that at the beginning of these drafts, I think what we need to be doing is we need to make sure that you are hitting the running back position and the quarterback position, especially, really exclusively in Superflex leagues, extremely hard. Because we go, okay, let's just look at the tiers here. We know, yes, this class is loaded with wide receivers. There are multiple elite wide receiver prospects, but to go along with that, there is so much wide receiver depth throughout the entire class, where at the running back position, at the quarterback position, you really don't have that. I mean, at the running back position, you have Travis Etienne, Najee Harris. At the quarterback position, you have Trey Lance, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, and maybe some people want to throw Mac Jones in there. I can't, just because we understand how important rushing is in fantasy. So you have four quarterbacks that are going to be in a clear tier of their own. Then you have two running backs that are in that same tier, and get out of here trying to tell me Javonte Williams is right up there with Travis Etienne. If you're saying that, you are wrong. I don't care. Hit my DMs. I promise you, I have PayPal, I have Venmo. We can make a bet for any amount of money that Travis Etienne outscores Javonte Williams their rookie season. I will literally wager whatever. I'll wager my firstborn child if that's what y'all want to do. But you have those two clear workhorse running backs. You have the four quarterbacks. And then outside of that, you have a ton of wide receiver talent. I mean, you could throw Kyle Pitts into the mix. We know that Kyle Pitts is a tight end that is an elite historical level prospect, to be honest. But you know my feelings on drafting a rookie tight end. I would rather just probably wait a year, and if he performs well, I'd rather pay the premium. Or if he doesn't live up to expectations his rookie season, because the tight end position is by far and away the hardest position to learn on the football field outside of quarterback, then we can go out there, buy him for a little bit less. But these running backs, I mean, let's go through this some. Let me talk about how bad this class is outside of the top two. I mean, yes, there are going to be some intriguing names if you can get them at the very end of your rookie drafts, but compared to the wide receivers, it's just not going to be it. I mean, starting with the third running back in the class, who's getting pushed up ahead of Jamar Chase and ahead of Devontae Smith in a lot of these rookie mock drafts that we've been doing, and I just don't understand it. I think that what is happening here with Javonte Williams is there are a lot of new people in Dynasty leagues where they're like, okay, I joined my first Dynasty league last year, and oh my gosh, those rookie running backs, if you got a DeAndre Swift, if you got a Cam Akers, if you got a Jonathan Taylor, they just drastically increased their value after their rookie year. And there were 5 of those guys. A.J. Dillon, you could throw in Antonio Gibson at the same time. There were 7 quality running backs. And now Javonte Williams, the running back 3, you're going to tell me I'm getting him at the 110 in the Superflex League? That's an extreme value. And no, that stance is just wrong because classes are different year to year. I mean, the best example of this is going back to 2014 when you had just a freakish wide receiver class with Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks. I mean, there were so many players in that class where they are going to be Hall of Fame type talents. But at the running back position, yeah, like Bishop Sankey, you had, I believe, Carlos Hyde. Now, don't kill me if I got that wrong. That's 7 years ago, but that's what I am remembering. And you really had nobody coming out of that class at the running back position that was going to be effective. You have very similar things in classes afterwards. I believe the 2015 class was where you had Todd Gurley, and I think Tevin Coleman was in that class. Outside of that, you had Melvin Gordon at the same time. You had 2 running backs and then a massive, massive drop-off to Tevin Coleman. And I think we are going to see the same thing here. I think that a lot of people that are going to be pushing those running backs up the draft board just because they go, okay, I'm going to get the running back 3 after the wide receiver 4. That is an extreme value in rookie drafts. And that's not how you should be looking at it. You should be going class to class. You should be going talent to talent. And Javonte Williams, at the end of the day, I mean, if he gets second-round NFL draft capital, I am completely fine if you want to take him over Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. If he gets that second-round NFL draft capital, ignore what I have ever said about him because then his historical comparisons will be perfectly fine. He could easily be a high-end running back 2, low-end running back 1 in fantasy if that happens, if you just go through and look at what a committee running back that was playing on a good college offense came out after year 3, drafted in the top 2 rounds. You put all of those markers on it, especially with Javonte Williams' size, and you go, oh, okay, this is someone we need to be looking at. But he falls to round 3. He possibly. He's a comp pick at the end of round 3. Then you go, okay, I mean, he's a committee running back coming from a good school, late round 3 draft capital. Then you look at his historical comparisons, and it's not great. The hit rate is going to be extremely low compared to a wide receiver like Jalen Waddle. And then if we go to the other running backs in the class, specifically further down the draft board, you have Gainwell, who is right now not the official weight, but the listed weight, so it's probably even a little bit higher than his actual, listed at 191 pounds. So obviously you have really no upside there in the slightest. Then you have Kylan Hill, who stayed 4 years in college and is also not going to get the NFL draft capital. And if you look at running backs, I know it's like kind of boring for me to say this. I know y'all would prefer me to just come out here and go, I watched the tape. I watched the tape. Look at his juke move. He can get to the outside. He can accelerate. He can burst through the hole. I mean, that's more exciting. You like to hear that verbiage. But what's actually more predictive of dynasty value, what's actually more predictive of fantasy success is going, okay, this running back is this large. He caught passes in college. He is this athletic. He stayed 3 versus 4 years. He gets the NFL draft capital. Those metrics are actually a lot more predictive on NFL success rather than someone coming out and telling you, oh, he's electric. He's dynamic, the most dynamic running back in the class. But here with Kylan Hill, I mean, he's going to be old. If he falls outside of round 3, literally his chances of succeeding historically are non-existent. Then you have Terrace Ehrman, where this is actually a little bit more interesting because we know he's been on the radar for a very long time. But at the end of the day, he was not ever really a strong receiving running back. And at the same time, the most carries he ever saw in a season was like 150, 160 in that range. And he's an older running back, another one of these running backs that stayed 4 years. Then you go to another guy in the class. You have Michael Carter. I mean, He's very small. He was also in a committee with Javonte Williams, and I think that the future #1 overall draft pick in the 2022 NFL draft, Sam Howell, is probably just going to end up getting both Michael Carter and Javonte Williams overdrafted in this class. And then you have Chuba Hubbard, who Chuba Hubbard is actually someone I would like. If I was going to draft someone outside of Travis Etienne or Najee Harris, it would probably be Chuba Hubbard, but we know that last year he looked horrible. He came into the year as a top 5 favorite to win the Heisman, and then halfway through the year, I was asking my friends, because we go to UT, we're obviously in the Big 12, whenever we're about to play Oklahoma State, and going, what's happening with Chuba Hubbard? Is Chuba Hubbard hurt? Like what is going on here? I mean, a horrendous season in 2020. So there are just question marks with all of these running backs. Then you go over to the wide receiver position, and you go, okay, this class is extremely strong at the top. I mean, you have Devontae Smith, you have Jamar Chase, you have Jalen Waddle, Rashad Bateman, Rondell Moore. I mean, all of those guys look like great prospects, and of course, all of them are going to be going over the Gainwell, the Kylan Hill, the Terrace Ehrman type of running backs. But then you go a little bit further down and you go, okay, what else are we going to be looking at in this class at the wide receiver position? Are they going to be talented enough to dictate that we take them over these low probability running back bets? And then you have Cadarius Tony, who is extremely fast. If you look at pretty much any NFL mock draft, he should go late first, early second round, which we know means he's going to get on the field. He's probably going to make an impact for our fantasy teams. Then you have Terrace Marshall, who was just a complete beast in 2020, a monstrous human at the same time. Should be drafted in the second round. You have Tylan Wallace. While, yes, Tylan Wallace has that red flag that he stayed all 4 years at Oklahoma State. Like I've said with Devontae Smith, what we need to look at is we need to look at some context behind this. I mean, Tylan Wallace had that significant injury his junior year, so he really couldn't come out in the NFL draft. But he himself is supposed to get second-round draft capital. Then you have a ton of wide receivers littered throughout the third round, supposedly, of the NFL draft. You have Seth Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Elijah Moore, Tutu Atwell, and Diami Brown. So there are so many wide receivers. This wide receiver class is extremely deep, not to mention that there are a couple of intriguing tight ends that are going to be pushed up the draft board. So I think that if you are on the clock, you either need to be asking yourself a couple things here. You go, okay, am I in the first round? If you're in the first round, great. Then you can go, okay, maybe I can draft a running back. Maybe Najee Harris or Travis Etienne is there. And if that's the case, yes, Najee Harris and Travis Etienne should both be drafted ahead of any wide receiver, regardless of landing spot. Then you go down and you go, okay, I'm not in the first round. So your next question is, well, obviously, I'm not going to have any shot at Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, or any of those quarterbacks in a Superflex format. Now, is there a wide receiver on the draft board that I am interested in drafting? Is there someone like Terrace Marshall that I really like coming out of LSU? Now, everybody watching this video should have their own guys that they are fans of, their own guys that they want on their teams. And the question is your guy there? Because if your guy is not there, before you turn around and take someone like a Michael Carter, I think, well, yes, I was making that mistake earlier this offseason. That's going to be a poor bet, and what would be a much better use of that pick is to either just trade the pick or go with a different wide receiver. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. As always, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton, and I'll see y'all with the video tomorrow.